When does having high standards and an obsession over quality go from a mark of excellence to something that paralyzes you and has you running circles in your own head? When can we find that threshold to better push ourselves to just get the project done with the best effort that we can summon, and not get stuck on all of those little details and minor things? I've been thinking a lot about what I wanted to post on this channel. With so many possible themes and ideas, it's really hard to choose. I enjoy writing in notebooks. Sometimes I'll get one and dedicate it to something specific, just to have all of my other interests eventually bleed into it and everything sort of just meshes together. And I could very well see a world where in this channel it ends up like that, which might not be a bad thing. Time will tell. Whatever it is that I decide to create, I want to put effort into it and make it the best version of that idea as possible that I can with the skills I have. Normally, I would go back and look at past projects to create personal standards for myself, like in woodworking. This allows me to establish a more tangible point of quality that I can base myself off of and evolve from, while avoiding comparing myself to others. But in this case, I have no prior videos to base myself off of. I have no referable standards of quality, so the pressure is on. This video has to be good. It has to properly set the theme for the entire channel and express exactly who I am. Or at least that's what the perfectionist in me is preaching. After some thought, I finally chose a video to post on here after running into a similar situation of setting unrealistic standards during a woodworking project. I was remaking the handle for this cheap knife that I got from I don't even remember where. The knife came with this ugly mustard yellow plastic handle. I found myself using the knife more and more, so I decided to give it some love and create a new handle for it out of oak. While yes, this handle isn't very complicated to create, just essentially 2 pieces of wood glued to the metal body of the knife, I haven't made many knife handles before, and the ones that I have made were even simpler than that, since this time there were little rivets holding the knife together that I had to make room for inside of the wood by carving a hollow space for everything to fit in without showing. Now, up to the carving, everything was going well, but while carving a space for the inside, I accidentally went too far with my tool. This resulted in a visible gap between where the metal and the wood meets. Now, mistakes happen. I've been here before, and I'll be there many times again after. I sat back in my chair and took a breath to figure out what I should do next. I asked myself some questions like, how am I going to hide this? Do I need to start all over? Will this actually be visible and ugly, or how can I possibly make this look clean now with this gap that's going to be right there? It's hard to know what the end result of a project will look like, and even when doing something that you have experience in, there's always some wiggle room and ambiguity of the final result. That's part of the wonder and the excitement of it. You have an idea, you say, I bet this would look great, and then you try and manifest it. With this in mind, after making a mistake, this ambiguity can really lean from wonder and excitement into doubt and panic. So after my own very moment of doubt and panic, I reminded myself of a lesson that I briefly forgot about perfectionism. And that's that my judgment could be wrong. This gap in the wood might put a tinge of ugly onto the whole project. Maybe. But it is just as likely that it won't really matter in the end, and the overall handle might still look really good. In any case, who cares? I have little experience in making handles, so this project is just to get the ball rolling and practice new skills. Given the context, which is just a fun little project to practice handle making on a cheap knife for personal use, setting such high standards just doesn't make much sense. Sure, I can take small periods of reflection during the project to think about what I could have done better, what tools I could have used in a more optimal way, but I won't be able to properly evaluate everything until I'm finished. And finishing the project, of course, also giving me the additional benefit of creating a frame of reference for the next time that I do something similar, to give myself a place to work from. I pushed past this mistake and resisting the urge to create obstacles for myself in the form of strategies to fix the mistake or make it perfect or not go on until the problem is fixed. The knife turned out great. It feels good in the hand, and with the much more full and solid oak handle, as well as looking rustic in a stylish and functional way. I'm really happy with it. The gap is still visible, but it's not that distracting and doesn't really hurt how the knife works. You can't even feel it while holding it. It's something to watch out for next time, but it doesn't bother me nearly as much as I feared that it might. Even now, by pushing past the perfectionism and being able to actually finish the knife handle, this has allowed me to learn a lesson not only for the skill of knife handle making, but the creative process of finishing a project. The momentum of that lesson carrying over into making this video, allowing me to be more willing to trust the process and see it to the end without getting too hung up on the minor details. With that in mind, the fear is swung back into excitement to see the end result. The sources of perfectionism can vary from person to person, stemming from internal or external causes and taking deep root in our minds, spreading to many parts of our work, passions, and hobbies. Although I don't think that it is something to demonize, but more so just to keep in check and familiarize ourselves with in order to maximize the care and effort we put into the things that we love, but also to minimize the paralysis and mental blocks that we can create for ourselves.